Is Goodwill overrated? Or is it the best place to grow your reselling business? In this video, I will be coming to that very conclusion. But first, let's go to Goodwill. Before I get to some of the drawbacks when it comes to sourcing at Goodwill, here are some positives. Every so often, things can fall through the cracks at Goodwill. Since Goodwill gets probably hundreds of donations a day, it's very likely that they'll end up underpricing some stuff. For an example, I found these football action figures for $8 at Goodwill, and on eBay, they've sold for over $150. So every once in a while, you can find a golden ticket item. And the more you know about reselling, the more you'll be able to find those golden tickets. If you're a sneakerhead or know at least a decent amount about reselling clothing on Poshmark or eBay, then Goodwill is the place to be. They have rows upon rows of clothing as far as the eye can see. I've heard many people are making full-time livings just by reselling used clothes from places like Goodwill. But if you are clueless about clothing like myself, then it's probably not the place you should be sourcing. If you're someone that likes to resell anything you can for a profit, legally, of course, then Goodwill is the right place for you. They have toys, clothing, shoes, sports equipment, tools, books. They even might have a girlfriend you're so desperate for. My point is, if you know a little about everything, then Goodwill is where you should be sourcing. But if you know a lot, just about one or two things, especially if they're niche, then Goodwill probably isn't the right place for you. Now, this is where the video gets pretty juicy. Here are some of the reasons why I believe Goodwill is overrated. Believe it or not, a lot of stuff at Goodwill is actually overpriced. At the Goodwill I went to, prices were absurd. They wanted $20 for used cleats and $15 for used sneakers. Most of the time, Goodwill prices things a bit under the secondary market and sometimes even above it, meaning a lot of stuff at Goodwill is basically unresellable. Is unresellable even a word? Probably not. It also depends on where you live. If you live in a high cost of living area like California, prices will most likely be steep. But if you live in the middle of Kentucky, you'll probably be finding way more deals and overall better prices. Another downside is that you can't negotiate prices. I mean, you could, but it would be like trying to swim with a cinder block tied to your ankles. There's probably no point in trying. Being able to haggle and get better prices may not seem like a big deal, but over time, it really compounds. Not being able to get deals make your profit margins smaller, losing you money in the long run. Unlike Goodwill, in tag sales, you're able to negotiate prices considerably down. So that's why over the summer, I plan on going to more tag sales and flea markets than Goodwills. Competition is very high. Pretty much every time I go to my local Goodwill, there are literally flocks of resellers looking things up on eBay or Amazon. As a result, a lot of the really good deals get snapped up before you ever get the chance to find them. But hey, that's the name of the game when it comes to finding things at Goodwill to resell online. So make sure you get there really early to beat the horde of resellers. Reselling used things is just going to be more complicated. Yes, there are brand new things at Goodwill, but the majority of things are secondhand. When reselling used things online, you have to make sure they are in good shape. This means you have to spend extra time and money cleaning and repairing things. Also, you have to take into account the condition something's in before buying it. If you buy electronics, always make sure to plug them in to a power source at the store before buying them. If you bought an Xbox only to find out it doesn't turn on when you get home, that would be beyond upsetting. If there are unfixable flaws or damage, make sure to clearly show and state them in the description and photos of the listing. Because if you don't, you could get bad reviews, which is bad for business. Who wants to buy something from a reseller with bad reviews? I know I don't. With all that being said, is Goodwill overrated? Yes and no. If you are a beginner or only resell niche things, then yes, Goodwill is overrated. But if you have a lot of specialities or have experience reselling clothing, then I believe in that case it is not overrated. I would also recommend to do what works for you. If you find success after success at Goodwill, keep going. But if you are finding nothing, then try something else that will work for you.
If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to my master's channel. Bark, 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 I am a dog.